Continuation of Chapter 21. I somehow find the hallway I sat the day Edward left. I don't want to be alone, but I don't feel like I have much of a choice. I close my eyes and pay attention to the cold stone beneath me and breathe the musty underground air. Tris! Someone calls from the end of the hallway. Uriah jogs towards me. Behind him are Lynn and Marlene. Lynn is holding a muffin. I thought I would find you here. He crouches near my feet. I heard you got ranked first. So you just wanted to congratulate me? I smirk. Well, thanks. Someone should, he says, and I figured your friends might not be so congratulatory since their ranks aren't as high. So quit moping and come with us. I'm going to shoot a muffin off Marlene's head. The idea is so ridiculous I can't stop myself from laughing. I get up and follow Uriah to the end of the hallway where Marlene and Lynn are waiting. Lynn narrows her eyes at me, but Marlene grins. Why aren't you out celebrating? She asks. You're practically guaranteed a top 10 spot if you keep it up. She's too dauntless for the other transfers, Uriah says. And too abnegation to celebrate, remarks Lynn. I ignore her. Why are you shooting a muffin off Marlene's head? She bet me I could aim well enough to hit an object. She bet me I couldn't aim well enough to hit a small object from 100 feet, Uriah explains. I bet her she didn't have the guts to stand there as I tried. It worked out well, really. The training room where I first fired a gun is not far from my hidden hallway. We got there in under a minute, and Uriah flips on a light switch. It looks the same as the last time I was there. Targets on one end of the room and a table with guns on the other. Do you just keep these lying around? I ask. Yeah, but they aren't loaded. Uriah pulls up his shirt, and there's a gun stuck under the waistband of his pants, right under a tattoo. I stare at the tattoo, trying to figure out what it means, but then he just lets his shirt fall. Okay, he says. Go stand in front of the target. Marlene walks a skip in her step. You aren't seriously going to shoot at her, are you? I ask Uriah. It's not a real gun, says Lynn quietly. It's got plastic pellets in it. The worst it'll do is sting her face, maybe give her a welt. What, do you think we're stupid? Marlene stands in front of one of the targets and sets a muffin on her head. Uriah squints one eye as he aims the gun. Wait, calls out Marlene. She breaks off a piece of the muffin and pops it in her mouth. Okay, she shouts the word garbled by food. She gives Uriah a thumbs up. I take it your ranks were good, I say to Lynn. She nods. Uriah's second, I'm first, Marlene's fourth. You're only first by a hair, says Uriah as he aims. He squeezes the trigger. The muffin falls off Marlene's head. She didn't even blink. We both win, she shouts. Do you miss your old faction? Lynn asks me. Sometimes, I say. It was calmer, not as exhausting. Marlene picks up the muffin from the ground and bites into it. Uriah shouts, Gross! Initiation's supposed to wear us down to who we really are. That's what Eric says anyway, Lynn says. She arches an eyebrow. Forces is to prepare us. Well, they don't agree on much. I nod. Fore told me that Eric's vision for Dauntless is not what it's supposed to be, but I wish he would tell me exactly what he thinks the right vision is. I get glimpses of it every so often. The Dauntless cheering when I jumped off the building, the net of arms that caught me after ziplining. They're not good enough. Has he read the Dauntless Manifesto? Is that what he believes in ordinary acts of bravery? The door to the training room opens. Shauna, Zeke, and Fore walk in just as Uriah fires off another target. The plastic pellet bounces off the center of the target and rolls onto the ground. I thought I heard something in here, says Fore. Turns out it's my idiot brother, says Zeke. You're not supposed to be in here after hours. Careful, or Fore will tell Eric, and then you'll be as good as scalped. Uriah wrinkled his nose at his brother and puts the pellet gun away. Marlene crosses the room, taking bites of her muffin, and Fore steps away from the door to let us file out. You won't tell Eric, says Lynn, eyeing Fore suspiciously. No, I won't, he says as I pass him. His hand rests on the top of my back to usher me out, his palm pressing between my shoulder blades. I shiver. I hope he can't tell. The others walk down the hallway, Zeke and Uriah shoving each other, Marlene splitting her muffin with Shauna, Lynn marching in the front. I start to follow them. Wait a second, Fore says. I turn toward him, wondering which version of Fore I'll see now, the one who scolds me or the one who climbed the Ferris wheel with me. He smiles a little, but the smile doesn't spread to his eyes, which looks tense and worried. You belong here, you know that? He says. You belong with us. It'll be over soon, so just hold on, okay? He scratches behind his ear and looks away, like he's embarrassed by what he said. I stare at him. I feel my heartbeat everywhere, even in my toes. I feel like doing something bold, but I could just as easily walk away. I'm not sure which option is smarter or better. I'm not sure that I care. I reach out and take his hand. His fingers slide between mine. I can't breathe. I stare up at him and he stares down at me. For a long moment we stay that way. Then I pull my hand away and run after Uriah, Lynn, and Marlene. Maybe now he thinks I'm stupid or strange. Maybe it's worth it. I get back to the dormitory before anyone else does, and when they start to trickle in, I get into bed and pretend to sleep. I don't want any of them. I don't need any of them, not if they're going to react the way they do when I do well. If I can make it through initiation, I will be dauntless and I won't have to see them anymore. I don't need them, but do I want them? Every tattoo I got with them is a mark of their friendship, and almost every time I had laughed in this dark place was because of them. I don't want to lose them, but I feel like I have already. After at least a half hour of racing thoughts, I roll onto my back and open my eyes. The dormitory is dark now. Everyone else has gone to bed. Probably exhausted for resenting me so much, I think with a wry smile. As if coming back from the most hated faction wasn't enough, now I'm showing them up too. I get out of bed to get a drink of water. I'm not thirsty, but I need to do something. My bare feet make sticky sounds on the floor as I walk, my hand skimming the wall to keep my path straight. A bulb glows blue above the drinking fountain. I tug my hair over one shoulder and bend over. As soon as the water touches my lips, I hear voices at the end of the hallway. I creep closer to them, trusting the darkness to keep me hidden. So far, there haven't been any signs of it, Eric's voice says. Eric's voice. Signs of what? Well, you wouldn't have seen much of it yet, someone replies, a female voice, cold and familiar, but familiar like a dream, not a real person. Combat training shows you nothing. The simulations, however, reveal who the Divergent rebels are, if there are any, so we will have to examine the footage several times to be sure. The word Divergent makes me go cold. I lean forward, my back pressed to the stone, to see who the familiar voice belongs to. Don't forget the reason I had Max appoint you, the voice says. Your first priority is always finding them. Always. I won't forget. I shift a few inches forward, hoping I am still hidden. Whoever that voice belongs to, she is pulling the strings. She is responsible for Eric's leadership position. She's the one who wants me dead. I tilt my head forward, straining to see them before they turn the corner. Then someone grabs me from behind. I start to scream, but a hand clamps over my mouth. It smells like soap, and it's big enough to cover the lower half of my face. I thrash, but the arms holding me are too strong, and I bite down on one of the fingers. Ow! A rough voice cries. Shut up and keep her mouth covered. The voice is higher than the average male's, and clearer, Peter. A strip of dark cloth covers my eyes, and a new pair of hands ties it to the back of my hand. I struggle to breathe. There are at least 2 hands on my arms, dragging me forward, and one on my back, shoving me at the same direction, and one on my mouth, keeping my screams in. 3 people. My chest hurts. I can't resist 3 people on my own. Wonder what it sounds like when a stiff begs for mercy, Peter says with a chuckle. Hurry up. I try to focus on the hand on my mouth. There must be something distinct about it and will make him easier to identify. His identity is a problem I can solve. I need to solve a problem right now or I will panic. The palm is sweaty and soft. I clench my teeth and breathe through my nose. The soap smell is familiar. Lemongrass and sage. The same smell surrounds Al's bunk. A weight drops into my stomach. I hear the crash of water against rocks. We are near the chasm. We must be above it, given the volume of the sound. I press my lips together to keep from screaming. If we are above the chasm, I know what they intend to do with me. Lift her up, come on. I thrash, and their rough skin grates against mine. But I know it's useless. I scream too, knowing that no one can hear me here. I will survive until tomorrow. I will. The hands push me around and up and slam my spine into something hard and cold. Judging by its width and curvature, it's the metal railing. It is the metal railing, the one that overlooks the chasm. My breath wheezes, and mist touches the back of my neck. The hands force my back to arch over the railing. My feet leave the ground, and my attackers are the only thing keeping me from falling into the water. A heavy hand gropes along my chest. You sure you're 16, Stiff? Doesn't feel like you're more than 12. The other boys laugh. Bile rises in my throat, and I swallow the bitter taste. Wait, I think I found something. His hand squeezes me. I bite my tongue to keep from screaming. More laughter. Al's hand slips from my throat, and Al's hand slips from my mouth. Stop that, he snaps. I recognize his low, distinct voice. When Al let me go, I thrash again and slip down to the ground. This time, I bite down as hard as I can on the first arm I find. I hear a scream and clench my jaw harder, tasting blood. Something hard strikes my face. White heat races through my head. It would have been pain if adrenaline wasn't coursing through me like acid. The boy wrenches his trapped arm away from me and throws me to the ground. I bang my elbow against the stone and bring my hands up to my head to remove the blindfold. A foot drives into my side, forcing the air from my lungs. I gasp and cough and claw at the back of my head. Someone grabs a handful of my hair and slams my head against something hard. A scream of pain bursts from my mouth, and I feel dizzy. Clumsily, I fumble along the side of my head to find the edge of the blindfold. I drag my heavy hand up, taking the blindfold with it, and blink. The scene before me is sideways and bobs up and down. I can see someone running towards us and someone running away. Someone large. Al. I grab the railing next to me and haul myself to my feet. Peter wraps his hand around my throat and lifts me up, his thumb weighed under my chin. His hair, which is usually shiny and smooth, is tousled and sticks to his forehead. His pale face is contorted and his teeth are gritting, and he holds me over the chasm as spots appear on the edges of my vision, crowding around his face, green, pink, and blue. He says nothing. I try to kick him, but my legs are too short, so my lungs scream for air. I hear a shout, and he releases me. I stretch my arms as I fall, gasping, and my armpits slam into the railing. I hook my elbows over it and groan. Mist touches my ankles. The world dips and sways around me, and someone is on the pit floor. Drew screaming. I hear thumps, kicks, groans. I blink a few times and focus as hard as I can on the only face I can see. It is contorted with anger. His eyes are dark blue. I croak. I close my eyes and hands wrap around my arms, right where they join together with the shoulder. He pulls me over the railing and against his chest, gathering me into his arms, easing another arm under my knees. I press my face into his shoulders, and there is a sudden howl silence.